The Supreme Court is officially taking up President Trump's official executive order on birthright citizenship. This is a big one, folks. The outcome could change the fabric of this country overnight.
This next order relates to the definition of birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment of the United States.
Yeah, that's a good one. Birthright. That's a big one.
President Donald Trump signing an executive order to end birthright citizenship, a law guaranteed by the 14th Amendment stating anyone born in the U.S. is automatically a U.S. citizen.
Basically, the Trump administration is contravening a Supreme Court opinion from the late 19th century.
Arguments are heating up, but there is a logical trap that the left walk right into, and nobody is talking about it, except here, of course, at the Minto Report. Like and subscribe if you like what you see on this channel. Let's get back into it. It exposed a complete contradiction in their narrative about American history.
Right now, the Supreme Court is hearing oral arguments on whether the Trump administration can take steps to enforce its plan to end birthright citizenship. Outside the court, protesters are making their voices heard. The court will focus on the power of judges to block policies enacted by the president.
Let us look at the arguments. On one hand, you have the mainstream left constantly telling us that the founding fathers who wrote the Constitution were racist, xenophobic, too male, too stale, and too pale.
Administration, which is too male, too pale, and too stale.
Let's assume for a second that their worldview is correct. If these men were such hateful xenophobes, why on earth would they write the Constitution to give automatic citizenship to everyone in the world, black and brown included, as like to be stated by the left? It makes zero sense. If the authors of the 14th Amendment were racist who hated foreigners and minorities, as we are told, why would they construct a loophole that rewards anyone who happens to land on the US soil for a few days? Trump arguments, or the argument heading to the Supreme Court, is that the 14th Amendment was written for a specific purpose, to grant citizenship to the children of enslaved people. It was a Reconstruction Amendment. It was about making things right for people already here who were denied humanity. It wasn't meant for a tourist on vacation. It wasn't meant for someone crossing the border illegally in their third trimester.
The Reconstruction Era was supposed to heal America's wounds after the Civil War, but it failed so badly that the racial and socioeconomic implications are still being wrestled with in America over 150 years later. War rarely fixes anything. It certainly didn't fix much of the American people after the Civil War ended in 1865, and the Reconstruction Era immediately after the war was arguably a failure.
The founding fathers and framers were indeed racist xenophobes. If so, they weren't intended to give citizenship to foreigners. Therefore, Trump interpretation may likely be correct. It was only for enslaved people. Option B, the framers did intend to give citizenship to people of the entire world. If that's true, then they couldn't have been the racists and xenophobes the left claims they were. You can't write a law that benevolent if you are filled with hate. You can't have it both ways. You can't scream that the Constitution is a racist document written by white supremacists, and then in the next breath scream that the same document was lovingly designed to protect the rights of non-citizens from every corner of the globe. Let's dig deeper. Is there any law in the Constitution written specifically to benefit foreigners over Americans? The answer is effectively no. Now, legal scholars will point to the due process clause. No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property. Not no citizen. So yes, the foreigners get due process. It was written to restrict the government's power over any human. There is no clause in the Constitution designed to prioritize a foreigner over an American citizen. The Birthright Citizenship claims that the 14th Amendment is the one exception. The one time the framers decided to hand over the most precious assets America has, that is American citizenship, with no string attached. If the left wants to defend birthright citizenship, they have to admit that the framers were globalist visionaries. If they want to keep calling them racist, they have to admit Trump is right about the 14th Amendment. Which one is it?
Right now, the Supreme Court is hearing oral arguments on whether the Trump administration can take steps to enforce its plan to end birthright citizenship.